Welcome to Trout Snacks. The fly we're tying today, I call it the Drunken Master. It's a Hares variant. And the reason I call it Drunken Master is because we use a wine-colored UTC thread 70 denier. The hook I'm using is a standard size 14 nymph hook. The bead is 1/8 inch or 3.2 millimeter gold bead head. Start with your thread behind the bead and work your way back. Snip or break off the tag piece. The only material I use is a light Pardo. It's a Coq de Leon. You need 4 or 5 fibers is all. Measure your tail you want. Use a pinch wrap. Hold everything on top. And I'll take one wrap underneath to keep those fibers, they'll splay out a little bit. If it's a little long, you can just pull on it. Now wrap forward, keeping everything on top. Cut those waist piece off. Now I'm going to start building a taper into the body of my fly. Takes a minute or so. You can use lead wire here if you like to build your taper quickly and to add more weight to your fly. I don't like using too much weight because I use droppers to tie my flies on, and it just helps give more movement for them in the follow the current a little better when you're fishing them. And another reason I like to use this taper is when I tie in my collar, you don't have this huge gap between your materials and your bead head. Okay, I'll bring it to the bottom there, to the back of the hook. We'll get some gold wire, about 4 inches or so. And I'll just start wrapping it on from the back end here. Holding it tight, wrapping it tight. 3 wraps is all you need. And then see, you keep that nice taper all the way around the fly when you wrap your wire in like this instead of tying it in. Grab your back one here. We'll just helicopter it off. And our front one, we'll do the same thing, helicopter it off. And I haven't had any issues with it sliding off or coming unwrapped, especially when you take it out of the fish's mouth, especially where the barb is bent, so it's barbless. Makes it a whole lot easier to take your fly out without destroying your fly. Now we'll get my dubbing loop tool and we'll tie in a dubbing loop, and then I'll just bring that forward. It's actually easier to tie that loop in before you put your wire on, but you know, nobody's perfect. Now I'll just tie that off and actually get it out of my way. Now get your dubbing loop, and we'll put the natural Hares dubbing in there. You want it sparse and picky. We'll slide that in. And you want it about an inch to inch and a half long for size 14. And I'm going to spread it out a little more, just make it even pickier. And what that does is you'll have a nice fuzzy body, but it'll also be transparent. And the fish can see that nice taper underneath. And it also allows the flag to get a little darker. Now before we spin it up, I'll take and cut a taper in my dubbing. Like so. So you have a nice wedge shape there in your dubbing. Now spin your dubbing loop tool counterclockwise, clockwise, whatever you like to do, it doesn't matter. Now I'll get my Velcro dubbing brush. I just made it with a popsicle and some Velcro. Now we'll go ahead and tie this, or wrap this in between the gold wrap. Okay, we'll stop there. Now, get my thread here, tie it back in. Get your pheasant tail. You need, I don't know, 8 to 10 fibers is all. And you'll use this for your legs and your thorax. So measure that for your legs. Keeping everything on top. Come forward. Put one underneath. Now we'll finish wrapping your thorax with the dubbing. Pull everything back so you can tie off that dubbing loop. Like so. Cut your dubbing loop out. Now we'll get our needle and we'll split the pheasant tail. On each side there. Just take your time. I'll get this finger, pull it down on that side. Use my thumb for the back side. Pull that over the top for your thorax. Now use your fingers to get the legs and everything out of the way. We'll tie that thorax off. 3 wraps, 1 in front. Now we'll get the waist piece off. Okay. Now I'll use this loon's fin and we'll just put like an inch down the thread. And this helps you for a nice clean collar. Pull everything back with your thumb and finger there. 1, 2, 3. Then cut off your thread. Get your UV light. Burn your UV collar in there. Like so. And I'll get my dubbing brush again. Just make everything nice and fluffy. There, so it's just nice and fluffy, like so. Now, I'll get my brown marker, permanent marker. It's a Bic marker, and it's woodsy brown. And I'll just color the top of the bead head here. A little bit on that thorax. So you can see it's just on the top of the bead there. Now I'll get my thick loons and my needle. Let's get some on the tip of my needle here. Put on the thorax. And on the top of the bead, covering that permanent marker we just put on. Now I'll leave it a little more. Put it right here in the middle. There we go. Okay, and I'll turn it upside down so that'll kind of make a little bubble and kind of even out a little bit. And I'll turn it back over, burn it in with my UV light. And there you go. There's my Drunken Master. And it works very, very well here on the Weeper River in Utah. Got some really nice fish on it so far this year. And like I said, when it gets wet, it gets very transparent and it darkens up on the body and that gold wire just pops. Anyway, thanks for watching. And this fly is full of awesomeness. Thanks. Bye.